Of course, yeah. I mean, I think the level of sacrifice that I think a lot of people aren't willing to sacrifice the freedoms that the so-called freedoms that we have because I don't want to lose my job, or not even that. Sometimes oftentimes I honestly feel like, especially with like either white people or even minorities who have a lot of white friends and white colleagues and all that. It's like, oh, what is this person gonna think of me? Oh, what's my team gonna think of me? Oh, what's my job? Like whatever. Like the people I'm always around, like what are they gonna think of me if I post like such controversial topics and stuff like that? How soft we sound compared to people who are really about that cause, both people who are black and white, people who are about the cause, like back in the 40s, back in the 50s, back in the 60s, back when you could literally be killed and lynched for even speaking up or even just existing, which honestly today not much has changed in that regard. Like you could be like unfortunately I forgot her name, like I apologize for forgetting her name, but like the EMT whose house got broken into.
Breonna Taylor.
Yeah, Breonna Taylor. Listen, like, her having like obviously having like a white boss and like white superiors within like the medical and hospital field.
Absolutely.
Is that the thanks she gets for literally sacrificing her life during COVID and during other times to save people's lives, regardless of their skin color? Ahmaud Arbery just taking a jog. Is that he want to keep up with his fitness and like just mind his own business? Is that the thanks he gets for doing that against one former police officer? Like the countless other people. So I think if we're so scared about sacrificing and if we're so scared about speaking up, we're just going into the contrary of what this country was built on, because this country was built on protests over over economics, not even over race. I think people oftentimes don't talk about this, that the United States of America was built over economic differences and economic disagreements. It was nothing racial. It was strictly finances. So if you're gonna tell me that finances are more important than treating people due to the color of their skin, then you're crazy and you just lost the whole point of why we're supposed to be a free country in the first place. So I think that people definitely need to let go of that fear. Let go of that bias, and even if let's say you don't know a lot of black people, let's say you don't hang around a lot of Hispanics, let's say you don't know a lot of brown people, still, just for like being just like, if the one thing we have in common is just breathing and living as human beings, that's enough of a reason to fight.
Absolutely, and I think the fear comes from generational trauma. Like let's really like call it what it is. The fear comes from generations and generations and generations of trauma. Right. And I think that we are aware of that. And I think that we are resilient enough to yes, acknowledge that, but to fight against it, right? To be like, absolutely no. And it also is a call for the white people too, to not sit your ass down there and let black people continuously carry the burden.
Exactly.
That's my biggest problem with white people in general. It's like you say these things, you stand up for these movements, but when it's actually time to call, when it's actually time to be an activist, quote unquote, you're mute.
Exactly.
Right? You're mute. You also have to be willing to sacrifice the comfort of your privilege. You have to be willing to sacrifice the comfort of your privilege to call out when your friends say racist things, or when your boss say racist things, or when your teacher or whatever says racist, and be willing again to take the risks that come with it. We can't move forward without sacrifice, right? We really cannot move forward without any type of sacrifice. And I think that's what that's the mindset that we need to have. I think what really bothers me about this whole thing is complacency. Everybody protests.
I was actually gonna say that, right?
Yeah, like everybody protesting, but like, look, how are you working within your own sphere of influence to just
It's like next time, like your white counterpart or like your Hispanic counterpart, even, because listen, Hispanics who are my skin color are as racist, if not more, than your regular racist white person. Let's
I have no idea.
Let's be real about it. Like honestly, like that's a privilege I have as well. Like being that when I go out, people might not think I'm Hispanic. People might not think that I'm a minority. People might think that I'm like Italian or like European or something else. Like the fact that people have to guess and will probably say, he's probably like white or something. Like give me the benefit of the doubt. That's a privilege in by itself. And I think Hispanics, we need to, as Latinos, we need to really sit down and really stop pretending like we
don't know what's going on.
Yeah, like shit is sweet. That we're like the oppressed and everything. No, like And obviously for me too, like I have cousins and a lot of my family members who are brown skinned who could easily fall into the same traps within this country and within anywhere than somewhere else. I just happen to be my skin color just because of genetics and because of like pigmentation.
Absolutely.
Like it's like nothing. It's nothing else. I didn't choose. Like I didn't choose with all that.
Absolutely.
But other two, like for white people, right? I feel like the way that they mess up the most is whenever their white counterparts make like racist jokes, and whenever they make like ignorant comments and statements, and instead of correcting them and saying, hey bro, like listen, like we're in 2020 now, like let's not, you wouldn't say that in front of a black person or in front of like whatever. Let's just fix it right then and there, because I used to play baseball like for college in New Jersey and in Massachusetts. Obviously way more white and like not as diverse communities as we're used to in Queens and as we're used to like in New York City, right?
Absolutely.
I would hear so much stuff that like in my head, like I wouldn't say anything because again, like you were saying, I didn't want to be that guy, or I was there for sports, like I didn't want to be disruptive or anything like that. But in my head, I'm like, damn, like if you really said that 30 miles away in New York City, my God, the outcome of what you just said and the repercussions of what you just said will be completely different. And I don't even like in the fact that they can't even like materialize that, or even like that's not even a thought for them, is a privilege by itself.
You see what I'm saying? That is proof that black people have to educate you on, or people are calling like have to educate you on what it means, on the impacts of whiteness in society. That's what you literally just said is the fault of education. Because at the end of the day, y'all are the ones being educated with each other. Y'all are the ones going to all of these schools. What are they teaching you about anti-racism? Yeah. What are your teachers teaching you about what it means to be white in society? You know what I'm saying? Like, at the end of the day, it's literally evidence that black people have to consistently be the educators and have to consistently carry the burden of not only being fucking oppressed, but also teaching about their oppression. And nobody's doing that no more.
Nobody.
You know?
Absolutely not. No.
You know what I'm saying? Like, read. There's thousands and thousands of literature that are out there that you can educate yourself on the impact of whiteness in society.
Yep.
The onus is on white people. It's always been on white people, but like nobody is really trying to say that. But I'm saying that publicly, that they have to do better. And they have to do better because their silence has generational impacts. And if they have any problems,
it does, absolutely. And mind you, when I was playing like baseball, like I was playing collegiate baseball. These are people who, other than coming from privilege and coming from like a comfortable lifestyle, they have the opportunity to be educated. So these are college educated people who are entering the workforce and who are becoming adults within this next generation, who are still like in this 1950s mentality in a sense, which to me is scary, because I'm like, damn, like whatever profession you go into, you're gonna affect not only like a black person or like a Hispanic person. You're gonna affect every single younger generation in a negative manner, and that's not okay. So what are you paying for college education for?
But you see, they're not going to ever come to terms with that because they don't have to. They don't have to. Right?
Exactly, they don't have to.
Yep.
You don't have to. I was just talking to somebody. One of my friends, he has a white friend that was talking about Black Lives Matter being a hypocritical organization. That you know what I'm saying, that we don't really focus, that they're not necessarily focusing on black crime.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the reason why there is quote unquote black crime on black crime. Yeah. Right? It's because of you and your fucking ancestors and the system that has promoted whiteness as being the only thing that we care about. It has only been to promote white people. We have the system, let's look at our predominantly like black communities. We have underfunded schools.
Yep. Impoverishness.
Yep.
And we are socioeconomic, like income disparity is ridiculous.
Yeah. There aren't any project buildings in white neighborhoods.
You feel me? Housing segregation. We have all of these issues that do lead to quote unquote black on black crime in these neighborhoods. And at the end of the day, like y'all, it's privilege that they have to resort, talk about Black Lives Matter in the lives of, and condemn it by talking about black on black crime, because when they get pulled over by police, they don't got to worry about anything.
No,
when they go
nothing.
to the store, they don't got to worry about anybody following. You know, the other day I realized, right? Every single time I go to the store, I be going to the. I live in a predominantly white neighborhood here in Connecticut. I didn't know any better. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I went to Stop and Shop, and every single time I go to Stop and Shop, if I don't buy anything, if I don't see what I don't like, yo, legitimately, I literally leave the store like hands up, like, hello niggas, I didn't buy anything. I didn't steal anything. And
right.
I saw a tweet the other day, and it was like, yo, being black is you leaving a supermarket, not buying anything, and still having to prove that you didn't buy anything.
Yeah.
And I was like, yo,
like that's a crime or something.
You feel me? I just did this shit the other day, right?
Yeah.
White people don't got to worry about that.
Nah.
So I blame you, but I don't blame you because you will never understand.
Yeah.
And because you will never understand, you are going to continuously sit in the comfort of your privilege.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think it's such a pity. I think it's sad. And if more white people don't speak the fuck up and don't actually really exemplify what it means to be a true ally, then it's going to get worse. This is not a threat. This is really the reality of how things are playing out.
This is only the start.
Yo, it's going to get significantly fucking worse because black people are fucking tired.
Right.
Tired. It's beyond even tired at this point. Like it's I don't even fucking know, nigga. I'm ready to fight. Like,
I don't blame you.
You feel me? Like it's beyond exhaustion. It's beyond fatigue at this point.
Let me ask you something though. Going back to like your kids and like the kids that you teach.
Absolutely.
How do you like? I can't like, for example, I can't imagine having a son or a younger sister, younger brother, or be responsible for young children because you know they're teenagers, right? But like let's say children, like just something for conversation purposes, right? I can't imagine being like an adult, an authoritative figure, and like they look up to you for answers and stuff, and like they ask you, like for example, like if a black kid ever asked me, hey, why is this happening? Why is this going on? Like I can't, like, I mean, I could explain to a certain extent, right? But at the same time, it's like, how do I explain it to you in terms of like this making sense? Because none of this really, honestly, really think about it, like none of this makes any sense. So like for you, like how do you educate your kids, not on science, not on curriculum, but based on stuff like that?
Yo, I actually yelled at my kids about this shit one time. I had to hold my last class of the day because they was fucking up, and I showed them a letter of Emory University. It was something I saw on Facebook. They denied somebody from admission into their school solely based on the fact that he was a Negro, right?
Wow.
So I teach 11th graders, and you know, a lot of them, like I'm writing letters of recommendation right now. They're all applying to college next year, and I say, stop fucking up, because this would have been your reality. I think it was not that long ago, actually. It was really not that long ago, and I was like, this could have been your reality. Whatever, I forgot what year it was, but whatever years this was ago, right? And I think that kids, the beauty of social media is that it raises awareness, right? They know what the fuck is going on, and I praise social media. I praise people speaking out. I praise protesting. I praise all of the ways of solidarity that a lot of like social media apps have taken. I praise all that because it's raising awareness, and I think that when kids have those questions, it is the time to be raw and authentic with them. You see, the problem is we try to beat around the bush. And so when kids ask me about these things, when kids talk to me about this, I keep it raw with them. I'm like, yes. I tell them all the time, you guys are systemically disadvantaged because of the color of your fucking skin. I tell them that shit all the time. And it's not a way to make them feel bad about themselves.
Yo, Clinton, my bad. Keep going. I'll be right back. I'm going to put the charger real quick. Yeah, keep going.
It's not a way for them to feel bad about themselves, feel me? It's a way for them to realize the reality of the situation, right? It's for them to be aware of what is going on. I could sit here and be like, oh, y'all don't gotta worry about anything and everything is gonna be okay and all of it. Like, I could sit there and do that, but there is power in properly educating your own.
Absolutely.
You feel me? Again, emphasis on properly, right? Like there's power in like being real with them. So I don't sugarcoat nothing, bro. I keep it a buck. I let them know this is what's happening. this is how you can make sure that you are still on top and that like you really are capable of achieving. But keep in the back of your mind that there is a system out there that is specifically targeted to continuously put you down. But within yourself, you are not going to be put down because the value of resilience and strength has been within Black people since our ancestors.
Exactly.
So at the end of the day, we are going to continuously fight. We are going to continuously be above the situation. But again, keep in mind that this situation was not set up, that this system was not set up for you to succeed. So that's the messaging that I always give them.
Yeah.
And you as a, my fault, bro. I was gonna ask you as a STEM teacher, bro. Do you think that there's an ongoing problem? Because the thing about it is, you as a young STEM teacher, a lot of kids nowadays, you just said it before, your own brother, he goes to public schools, you know what I mean? There's a value in the difference of education in different public schools and in different schools in general. Do you think that that's a problem? Because in a sense, a lot of middle class kids, or let's say low income class kids, they can't relate. You know what I mean? They're not in these programs, so they can't really relate to someone who went to Cornell, went ahead and is in these type of programs like STEM. And a lot of the programs that have started since I've graduated high school.
Yeah, absolutely. The thing is representation. A lot of them are not in it because they don't think that they can, right? You got to think about it. When I was going to Cornell, there were specific classes, general chemistry, organic chemistry, specific classes that they literally called them weed out classes. The point of them was to weed out those who weren't fit to be pre-med. And
emphasis on fit.
You feel me? Who were the students that were weeded out? Majority, I did a whole paper on that my freshman year of college. Majority of the students that were weeded out were students of color. You feel me? And that goes to and let's really be very, very clear, right? A lot of the students that did come into Cornell, like, you know, went to schools where they offered every single AP you could think of. They took like AP Chem, AP Bio. I could have done that, but I chose not to in high school. But like they took every single AP course and had all of their notes, like their education was subpar. So now you got to think about some students who I know who come from the south side of Chicago who went to schools that didn't offer APs, who went to schools where they didn't have the resources to offer the tens of thousands of STEM AP courses.
Yeah, and these are students that could have done it, that were like eligible for these type of services, right?
When they go into it, and this shit is like, yo, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to be a different type of resilient for you to, like, I definitely know some students who stuck to it, finished it. You know what I'm saying? One of my best friends is in medical school right now. I'm in Brooklyn. Like, I have a lot of friends. You know, one of my best friends in medical school in Howard. Like, people can do it, but again, it stems from, do they believe that they can?
Right.
And the belief stems from, do I see people in this field? Which is why it's so important, like, as a Black man, to teach STEM. How many kids have told me, yo, Mr. Ikioda, you're dead ass the only Black science teacher I've ever had, or you're dead ass the only Black male teacher.
Yeah, bro.
Ever.
That's a systematic problem within itself, bro. I feel as though I remember this past semester, I had a professor, actually last semester, I had a professor who told me she overheard a student tell her this is the first time, and she was an African American student herself. She was like, this is the first time I've had a Black teacher, I think since, I think she said maybe second grade, you know, and she was trying to influence and kind of like focus on the fact that you don't see that a lot. You don't see a lot of African American and a lot of teachers from other races that kids can relate to. A lot of the majority, let's keep it a buck, are white Caucasian teachers. Bro. And they can't relate. They can't relate to what the struggle, let alone the struggle, but what middle class America goes through. Bro, let's keep it a buck.
There are statistics that show this shit. 80% of teachers, public school teachers in the United States are white.
80%.
80%. So the remaining 20% are quote unquote people of color. However, 2% of the entire teaching population in the United States are Black men. Like, I really want you to think about it, right?
Yeah. So you're a part of that 2%.
Yo, yeah, bro,
That's
you
crazy.
have 100 motherfuckers.
Yeah.
2% of the teacher population are black men. One of my biggest projects, one of the reasons why I'm even going to grad school for like with the program that I'm going for and everything is to increase the amount of black men in education. Our black men need to see black men in education.
They do.
It is vital. It is vital. It is vital. I worked in a school. This was the first time I ever had I worked in a school with a black principal, a black dean. You know what I'm saying? Other black teachers in STEM, right? And it was so eye-opening to me because I've never seen that before in my life. Me personally, my only black teacher was in 5th grade, and that was only from September to like February because she left for some reason. Ever since then, every other teacher that I've had has been white.
Yeah, bro. Even in high school, I've had one black teacher. That was my freshman year. One.
Same. And she happened to teach biology.
Like the only black teacher we had in prep taught global history.
Yep.
Every single teacher was white. So it's hard if you grow up in that, for you to like, it takes a different level of resilience to be able to see yourself in that position. Luckily, I grew up. My parents were very big on, you know what I'm saying? Like your academics, you know, make sure you focus, keep your head focused, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. And
they had the time to do that for me. Right? Like they had the time to check in with my teachers. They had the time to see like, yo, how was Clinton doing? They stopped, you know, junior and senior year. But like freshman and sophomore year, they were like, yo, like going to the parent teacher conferences maybe once a year.
Same.
But you know what I'm saying? But there are parents who can't do that because they fucking work.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
There are parents who can't do that because they gotta put food on the table. Like it's either a single parent household or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And like at the end of the day, our black and brown youth are not getting the same exposure that they need to. And so it's really the onus, I believe this shit so much, is that we got to get more black men into education and educating our black youth. We got to get more black men within leadership in education. Somebody, like it was said before that it's white people that are writing the curriculum and are making these decisions. It's white people also that have never been in the classroom with black kids.
Exactly.
Yep.
Never been in the classroom in general, so they don't even know what the fuck that they're writing about. That's one of my biggest problems with education, is that a lot of people calling the shots are people who have never taught for one day in their life.
Exactly.
Right?
And that type of complacency, becomes a normality. That's the problem.
It is. I mean, look at who the Secretary of Education is right now.
Oh my God, bro, it's crazy.
You feel me? Like, let's really.
DuVos is a disgrace, bro. Honestly.
You know what I'm saying? Like. So yeah. I agree with everything y'all saying, man. Like this shit gotta change. Like it really has changed. And I think I'm an educator. I look at everything from an educational point of view. Like it starts with how you educate your own. It really starts with white people. They gotta speak the fuck up and stop being complacent within your privilege. You look stupid. You really look stupid. And,
Clinton, let me ask you something real quick. You mentioned that, of course, out of 2% of black men are teachers.
Yes.
And for the most part, like this isn't the case for every single African American. This isn't the case for every single minority. But a lot of minorities in general, like, grow up in like single parent households. Mostly, for the most part, it's like with the mother for the most part. So that means that we have a lot of minority men and women as well who do not grow up with a father figure, which in my opinion is very, very important and crucial for the maturing, and when you grow up, you know, growing up as going to the adult and everything.
That factor.
So do you ever keep that in mind? Like, hey, like, wow, this might be like one of the very few times within this child's life that they have like an authority, like they're seeing like a black man as like an authority. Yeah.
You know, a lot of people always see that as a positive, but that's not always the case.
Right.
You do see kids who act out because they haven't had a black man in their life.
Yeah.
You do see black girls in our school who take black women authority figures who are very, very more hostile towards black women authority figures because they had a, you know what I'm saying, a quote unquote mother figure. Right. So like, yes, like I agree with you, Mateo. I think that like it is empowering to see a black man in the positions, you know, of teaching in these positions. But I have seen it where it's actually done the opposite. Okay. And you do have to build that relationship with that student to say, yo, bro, I'm here to collaborate with you. I'm here to see you succeed. One of the things I always tell my kids is I don't give a fuck about how much biology you guys learn. What I care about is how are you using the tools that you have gained in this course to make a difference in greater society. I don't give a fuck about what you like.
Wow.
You're going to learn this biology again next year as a senior when you're in college. I don't care about how much you know. I care about what are the skills and what are the assets and what have you learned from this class that you're going to use to make a difference in your community.
Right.
That's what I always tell my kids. That's something that I always preach to my black men. I have a very close relationship with like black male students that I teach, and I always tell them, I'm like, yo, remember, you are a black man. Some of my kids have started driving, 17, 16, and they're telling me, yo, Mr. Ikioda, I got my license, Mr. Ikioda, I'm about to go. And I'm like, yo, my nigga.
Be careful,
Be careful,
yeah.
I'm like, yo, my nigga, be careful. I told a kid that literally yesterday. I said, yo, my nigga, these are crazy times out there. You are a
a target. You're a huge target,
Bro, like you have target written all over you. You are a young black man in this society. You need to, and it's unfortunate as it is, you need to watch your back because the system is here to annihilate you.
Exactly.
Right? And like that's something that I always make sure I tell my black men. Like I always like, yo, I love you. And I want to see you guys succeed, but y'all got to make sure to be very, very careful.
Right. Yeah, because you know they're teenagers and like they should be like like you should be hyped and happy when you get your license. Of course, the first thing. Of course, like even as an African American, like the first thing like when you get your license, like I gotta watch out. Now it's like damn, like I got the car now. I'm able to pick up girls. Go with my friends to parties. Blah blah. We can hit up this spot. Blah blah. Like, but then again, like of course, with the authoritative figure and like the father figure in a sense, and you as an educator and as someone who has responsibility over these kids is like, hey, listen, you be excited, be responsible. Exactly. But at the same time, other than your own responsibility, look out for people who have to be even more responsible. Which honestly, that sentence, honestly, it doesn't even sound correct to be honest. But like, if you really think about it, police officers are supposed to look out for your safety, and oftentimes, unfortunately, they use black people as a way to increase their quotas. Unfortunately,
absolutely. I believe that 100%. Something I tell my kids all the time, like, yo, it really has to do with like your relationship with them, like building that relationship. My kids, they all listen to Pop Smoke. I listen to Pop Smoke with them. You know what I'm saying? Like they all listen to Fabi, like Fabi with them, like, and I remind them that like I'm really not that much different from y'all.
Right.
You feel me? Like I'm not also that much older than y'all, to be very honest. Like,
yo, honestly,
honestly, like, transparently, like I'm also, although they have a very, very interesting sense of age. But like I'm not older. Like I listen to Pop. My kids, when Pop Smoke died, the amount of kids that emailed me saying, "Yo, Mr. Ikioda, like I noticed your favorite rapper, blah blah blah." You know what I'm saying? Like
that's all. That's cool though. Yeah.
You build an authentic relationship with children. You build an authentic relationship with them. You get to know them for who they are and what they stand for. What are their likes? What are their dislikes? What are their interests? You don't ever. I think that the problem is sometimes teachers we view students as just students. Right? Just students, they're just here to do the work, leave. But students are very multifaceted, right? They come in with so many different things. And like, when you show them that you care for them, but not just care for them as students, but as individuals, it does make a very, very big difference.
No, man, absolutely. And also I think too is this kind of like, I guess growing up as a teenager, regardless of like race or like background and all that, like it's very difficult because you're going through hormones, you're finding out who the type of person you are. Then on top of that, the education system is forcing you to decide, hey, what do you want to do with your life? Do you want to graduate and go to college? Do you want to graduate and be a part of the working class? Do you want to graduate like what exactly, like do you want to do music? Like what is, like especially like in today's day of like extreme information and like in today's day, like we could find out anything. There's careers on absolutely anything. Like this wasn't like this right here was not a career even 10 to 15 years ago. There was no way we could do this 10 years ago even the technology we were given. So I mean, like, how much does mental health really play into like the African American experience growing up as a teenager? Like, is there added pressure? Is there added like anxiety? Like, how much is that? Like, how much has that? And do students ever express to you those type of mental health problems?
Yeah, definitely. So, mental health. That's assumption that I even got to come to terms with myself. There's a stigma of mental health in Black communities. We already know what the stigma is. I think that we need to debunk that stigma. You know, I'm a type of nigga. I get therapy. I go to therapy. Like I have a therapist. I talk to him about every you know what I'm saying, everything that's going to be open to really taking care of our emotions. and really coming to terms with our emotions, coming to terms with how we feel, because that also transcends to our kids. I keep it a buck with my kids. I'm like, yo, y'all, let me tell y'all today, I feel shitty. I don't feel like doing this today, but like, look, I'm gonna push through. Again, students want to see that you are human, that you are human too, right? And so you really got to show them, like, look, I'm not that much different from you. But in terms of like mental health, I have had, you know what I'm saying, students tell me things that I'm like, yo, but the best thing I could do is encourage.
Right.
Encourage. Some things I got to flag and tell social work. But, you know what I'm saying, best thing I could do is encourage them. Parents tell me shit too. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Like, it's one being an ear, but also like just being that encouraging voice to say, look, y'all gonna get through this. Y'all gonna push through this. There are stories that I've told my students about my struggles, you know, growing up as a Black teenager, growing up and going to St. Francis Prep. I've told them so many different stories about my high school experience and the toll it took on my mental health, and going to Cornell and the toll that it took on my mental health too. So I think it comes from a level of you being humane with them, right? Like if they want to see that you're able to just like, you know what I'm saying, like listen, and to some degree also relate to them. And like I said, like I'm not that much different from a lot of the students that I teach. And so there are a lot of common ground around what we talk about or what I talk about with their parents as well.
Absolutely. And let me ask something. Like when parents first go for like parent teacher conference, are they ever like? Do you ever feel like they're shocked to see like, wow, like my kid wasn't playing around? Like this is a Black male science teacher. I have that's like kind of like seeing a unicorn, to be honest, for them.
There was a student. There was a parent came. Parent came during the last parent teacher conference that I had. And I was having a conversation with her. We were just like talking about the daughter wasn't doing that bad. Like we were just, you know what I'm saying, I don't know why she came, but you know, we were talking, and she told me, she said, yo, I need you to continue to work here because when my son comes here, I want him to have you. Like, she was like, yo, like you are she can tell I'm a young man, and I'm teaching STEM, and I'm teaching her daughter STEM, and she was like, "Yo, I want him to have you. I want him to see that he can do this. He's, you know what I'm saying, he's very interested in building things. I want him to see that he as a young Black man can be able to do this." And I think that like it is amazing to have a young Black man teaching our Black youth about science and how to look at science. And also, I don't just teach them science. I teach them about what are the racist ideologies that science
implements and everything, right? Of course.
So I definitely explain to them about eugenics and the founder of eugenics and how eugenics plays a role in today's society. You know what I'm saying? I talked to them about the founding of DNA, even though the founding of DNA wasn't necessarily concentrated on race, but on gender.
Right.
I still bring it up and talk about, look at how this shit plays out today. I still make sure that what I'm teaching connects. I'm a big social justice person. What I'm teaching connects to the social justice movements that we are talking about today, because at the end of the day, it's going to empower them. So like the mom, like was telling me all of this, and I want you to have you, and I was there just laughing, cheesing or whatever, but it meant a lot to me.
Oh, of course,
that is something that a lot of parents have told me of, like, yo, Mr. Ikioda, I swear to God, like my daughter, my son has never had a teacher like you. My daughter, my son comes home and says that biology is their favorite class.
Wow.
No, none of the students like have any complaints about you. And that's not to toot my own horn or to gas myself up, but it's really because I don't teach to teach. I teach to understand. I teach to love. I teach to inspire. I teach to dismantle, right? And like when kids see that, like shit, you would really be like surprised at the outcomes and the relationships that you will build.
That's amazing. Yeah. No, because honestly, even like whenever my parents used to ask me like about teachers in high school, or even like professors right now, like, oh hey, like how do you like this professor?
Yeah.
It's very it's very black and white. It's either yes, I love this person, or no, this person's a dickhead, and I don't even know why they got their teaching license. So it's not even they're an okay teacher. No, because if they're an okay teacher, they're a bad teacher in my opinion. Like if you're passionate and you actually like know what you're talking about, and you give more to offer than what the curriculum in front of you had, like, you know, tells you to say and what to do, you're doing your job at a enormous success.
I had a student at the beginning of the year. She, I met her on the first day of school. She was on my roster, and we were in the cafeteria, and like I was just looking for the students that I knew that I was going to teach. It was the very first day of school. They were all in the cafeteria. So I went up to her, I said her name. She looked at me. She was like, "Yo, who you talking to?" And I looked at her and I was like, "Yeah, you're I'm not going to say her name, but let's say her name is Sam, right?" I was like, "Yo, like Sam, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh my God." And she literally just tilted her face back and looked like, "Who is this nigga?" And I looked at her, I was like, "Yo, I'm your biology teacher or whatever." She was like, "How do you know my name?" And I was like, "You're on my roster." And she was like, "Oh," and I was like, "Also you've had teachers last year who told me," she was like, "Oh, so I was talking about me." And I was like, "No, not really." In my head, I was like, "You're really not that important for us to be talking about." Like, really
relax.
But that student has to be like, I am best friends with her father, like her mom. Like that has to be, I don't want to say that I got favorites, but that has to be a student that I'm always going to remember because the relationship that me and that student has and that's because like I authentically got to know her, authentically got to know her older sister, who I also taught for
right, of course.
Year. And like I authentically got to know her and really saw her like open up and really be vulnerable with me. You know what I'm trying to say? And like I fuck with her. That's a student that like I'm like, yo, I fuck with you, I fuck with your family, I fuck with everything that your family's saying. It literally started by her giving so much attitude. I didn't know this girl from nowhere. I even was so scared that I was like, shit, this girl about to give me so much attitude in my fucking classroom already. You don't even fucking know me.
Yeah.
But like at the end of the day, like she has to be a student. Not only is she like she needed a teacher to push her because she's ridiculously intelligent, right? She's a smart student, but she just needed that push. And like I said, like I'm best friends with her dad. Whenever she's like texting her dad, I'm like, "Yo, tell your dad I said what's good." Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm close with her dad, I'm close with her mom. There are times where her mom and her dad have advocated for me in so many different ways. Like
that's
you know
amazing.
what I'm saying? Like so when you develop a relationship with them, with the children, you're also developing like your relationship with their families as well. And like in the same light, you're also making a difference and an impact in the lives of their families too, transparently.
Honestly, for you, like that there probably isn't like a bigger compliment than that, or a bigger like reassurance of like, wow, like I'm doing exactly what I was meant to do, like my whole life.
It's not really like I'm looking for these things. I'm not
of course.
like looking for these things. I do it because like this is what I like to do. This is what I can't work for corporate America. I cannot be an engineer. I can't be nobody's doctor. Kudos to everybody who is in those fields. I think that it takes a level of dedication. But like this is something that like I have dedicated the rest of my career. I know that for the rest of my career, I'm going to be in the education field. Teaching, I don't know about teaching for the rest of my life, but I know that I've dedicated my career and my livelihood to bettering the education of the proper education
proper education. No, man, that's incredible.
It starts from the ground up, brother.
It does. It really does. It really does. You can't make generational impact if you do not start from when they little. And that's why I tell white people, y'all gotta step the fuck up and stop being complacent and stop being. And this is as nice as I can say it, because if I'm talking to a white person, it probably wouldn't come out very nice. But you know what I'm saying? Like y'all gotta step the fuck up and y'all actually start like properly educating your youth. Not the McGraw Hill whitewashed education that you motherfuckers is teaching. You have to actually start being, stop being complacent within your privilege and teach. Like actually teach.
No, absolutely. Let me ask you something. Like, there's like on your teaching, you have a teacher's page, right? So on your on a teacher's page that we're gonna drop in the comment section and everything for everyone to go check out. I noticed that you had a summer class once, and that on the last day of the summer class, you wrote on a chalkboard or on like the marker board or whatever, like on a board. You said like, "Don't be like whack and or bogus" or something like that. Like I thought that was like the greatest and funniest thing, because like that's just so straight up, but like it has a lot of meanings to it. So like is that the type of relationship you have with your students? Like, you know, like you have to be like, you know, like in control, be an authority figure. But at the same time, you could also like let loose and let people know, like, hey, listen, like,
you know what I'm saying? Let me tell you something. Like, if you are stuck up all the time, they are not gonna look. Kids want to see your personality. I be coming to class when kids come in my class. The first thing is Pop Smoke. The entire year, the first thing that they're in the work what music am I listening to? Pop Smoke. When they play at assemblies, I'm out here like dancing and doing my thing.
Oh, it's lit. I like
what I'm trying to say? Like they want to see that you are human too. Because apparently kids just see, I'm guilty of it too. Man, I didn't think all my teachers had a life. I thought that every single thing that they did was teaching and grading and all of that shit. And that's what kids see. But so when they see like, oh shit, Mr. This
gets down. So
like they start to like really now open up more to you and learn more about you. If you really just sit there and be like, oh, like, X plus Y is Z, and and that's how you are all the time, that's all they're gonna know you as. When you are a person who, what I'm saying, when you think about your most memorable teachers, I think about my most memorable teachers were the teachers that brought their personality into the classroom.
Oh, absolutely, like, absolutely, yeah.
I don't want to say her name, but my Gothic literature teacher, senior year of high school.
Oh, no, I know who you're talking about, yeah. Yeah, I know who you're talking about, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I loved her. I loved her because she was strict, but like, that was dead-ass personality. Like, that's who she was. Like, there was no way I couldn't see her be anybody else but how she was. And like, I respected her a lot. And she, granted, she was white or whatever, I respected her a lot because she actually like pushed me to actually read. She actually pushed me to actually take reading and informing myself a lot serious than I did before because I was very STEM focused. I like experiments, I like science, all of this shit.
Yeah.
But like, she was like, nigga, you gotta well, not she didn't say nigga, but like,
I was about to
in my
say,
head, I translated it as like, nigga, you gotta fucking read. You know what I'm trying to say? So I really think it's like bringing your personality into the classroom. Like you can't be very, very stuck up all the way. Let me tell you something that I say in my class, that's a dub. They say it all the time.
Yeah.
I'm like, your dad can't handle slave because that is a, and they be like, dub. And I'm like,
oh, that's fun. Yeah, I love that.
Like,
I love that.
That's a good one.
Like,
that's so funny.
It's really like small things here and there for them to get to know your personality. So I definitely see whack and bogus. I definitely do call them whack. I definitely do call them bogus. They laugh. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it's again, it's the relationship. When you have a relationship with them, they don't necessarily take those things as like, oh my gosh, Mr. Ikioda is coming at me. It's like, oh, Mr. Ikioda is joking. Shit like
right. Nah, it's stuff like that you remember your whole life, so it's amazing.
I was gonna say, I think as an educator, you can agree that the worst thing that you can lose from your students is the relatability. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Nobody is ever going to remember, like, I swear to God, man, the teachers that if you were to ask me, like, who are your favorite teachers, were the teachers who, like, I was able to relate to, laugh, made me laugh, I think about my junior year chemistry teacher. That nigga was hilarious, he was hilarious, and, like, I don't remember an ounce of chemistry that he taught me, but I know that, like, this is a teacher. He wrote my letter recommendation for college. Like, this is a teacher that, like, he was a funny dude who made coming to chemistry not so fucking hard and not so boring. Like, you know what I'm saying? Chemistry was a hard subject. A lot of students at the time when we were going to prep struggled in chem.
Everybody, right? I didn't take chemistry just because of that. Just because I wasn't good at science at all. Yeah.
Everybody struggled in chemistry.
Bro, I got 50s in chem. Feel me?
You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody struggled in chem, but he just lightened up the mood, making jokes, he actually taught, but like making jokes, you know what I'm saying, just lighten up the mood because he knew that chemistry was an overwhelming subject for a lot of students that took it. You know what I'm trying to say? So like, I really think that, you gotta bring yourself into the classroom, man. You can't be stuck up at all. Especially when you teach, especially when you like teach like black and brown students. Like, you got let them know, like, listen, nigga, I'll beat your ass. And I tell them that shit too, and they be laughing. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just you just bring yourself in the situation.
That's amazing. Bro, before we let you, my bad. Oh, Hector, you're gonna say something?
No, I was just gonna say, bro, it brings out the motivation in the student, bro. I was also gonna say that it's funny you say that because I actually had an experience in high school. I actually had a chem teacher who she was gone after her first year, and that's why I think it's so vital that you have that relatability because she saw that the first half of the semester, the first 2 quarters, people, like I just said, were getting 50s and 40s. You know what she did? She basically, what's the word in education? She started not rounding, but she started curving grades. Yeah. And what she did was people who were actually deserving of getting 50s, get 80s. And we didn't know a shit of chemistry. And when the department found out, she was gone. But I guarantee you, if, like you said, she would have taught us in a more relatable way, and granted she was white, but you would have like at least entertained the class. Exactly. I guarantee you students would have related and worked way harder.
Students want to learn. Absolutely. English 11, my junior year, I've only passed by that class. I was knocked every single day in that motherfucking class because my teacher was very boring, right? Senior year, when I took Gothic literature, like, granted, like a lot of people complained about the teacher. I actually really loved it. And like, that's actually a teacher that I, you know what I'm saying? I don't know about love. I really liked her. She was a good teacher. And her excitement, right, about what she was teaching, right? I was like, yo, let me actually read and give this shit a chance. And like, I did very well in the class, right? It was English. English was not my best subject in high school at all. That was always my subject that like was always like pretty low spectrum. For several different reasons. I don't like reading novels. I never really liked reading novels. I never was a reader. I like math. I like science, all of that shit.
Yeah.
You know? History, I just memorized just to pass the test. But like, she was somebody that brought her personality into the classroom. She was thoroughly excited about what she was teaching. You could hear the passion in her voice of what she's teaching. And there was no day that I ever was sleeping in her class, ever. Like, I really thoroughly enjoyed. When I graduated, I told her, I was like, yo, no cap, I thoroughly enjoyed this class. Like, this is the first English class that I've taken that I would say that I thoroughly like enjoyed not only the teacher, but the content of the class. And the reason why I enjoyed the content of the class was because the teacher was so passionate about the content. You feel me?
Interesting.
So, yeah.
All right, so bro, before I let you go real quick, first of all, thank you for being here and sharing so much knowledge and everything. But before we let you go, how do we as a society, how do we move forward after George Floyd, after Ahmaud Arbery, after, you know, like Tamir Rice, after all the countless African Americans who've been killed by police? Like, how do we continue moving forward as a society, within your opinion?
We need to continue raising our. We need to not stop raising our voices. You see now the George Floyd, the 4 people that were
arrested.
They've all been in police custody, or they've all been charged, right? They're all arrested, they're all in jail, whatever. Not been convicted though. And I think like sometimes when things like those happen, we tend to just be like, okay, solution done, let's wrap it up. You know what I'm saying? It's cool. This is over. We're good. And then some shit happens again, and then we protest. And then some shit happens.
Right.
It needs to not stop.
Okay.
This is a time we gotta apply the fucking pressure. This is not the time this is not a time of relaxing anymore. We are in revolution, in a revolution time period. That's really what I'm thinking about right now. We are in a revolution. We are in a demand for change. Now we gotta start working on people that the police officers that were in charge of murdering Breonna Taylor, because we know that Black women are normally excluded from activism events. So let's make sure that we are also cognizant of that too, to acknowledge that Breonna Taylor was also murdered too, and let's also advocate for her murderers to also be arrested.
Yeah.
We need to continue to apply the fucking pressure, both white people and both Black people. Like, we need to continue to like apply the fucking pressure, call out shit for what it is. Let's stop dancing around white feelings and trying to make everybody feel comfortable. Call shit out for what it is, because that is the only way that we are going to one, acknowledge it and then move forward from it. And again, the other piece of it, like I was saying, yes, add the pressure, educate properly educate. White people need to properly educate their own, so that they understand the impacts of their whiteness on Black people and people of color in general. Unless they pick up a book, unless they try to actually like really educate their own, unless they actually act upon their quote unquote allyship, there is literally the change that they're going to protest, to demand, or that they're reposting on Facebook to happen is not going to happen. As Black people, we got to make sure we got to keep fighting and sacrificing for our freedom. This is our freedom that we're talking about. We're still not free. We are still under the oppression of the white man. Like I said, this is a revolution. We got to keep applying the pressure, and then whites, people, excuse me, y'all gotta educate yourselves. Y'all gotta educate y'all own, because I'm tired of educating y'all, and I'm tired of empowering mine without y'all now explaining to our own people why I gotta empower mine.
You're sick and tired of speaking, and it's like speaking to a wall sometimes. Like no matter how much you educate and how much you speak or how much stuff happens, nothing happens.
There are people to this day who are bringing up black on black crime, you know, right today while we are
during this issue. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Yeah,
you see what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, it's ridiculous.
You can't make this shit up. You can't make this shit up. Like,
unfortunately,
you gotta want to learn. You gotta want to learn. You have to want to learn. And if you call yourself an ally and you're not open to learning, you are not an ally. You are a complacent racist, and that's what I have to say on that. I'll tell you, if anybody has any problems with anything that I said, right? Hey, you can give them my personal. Like, I do like to engage in authentic discourse.
Right, of course.
I like to engage in authentic conversations. I like to hear people's perspectives.
Right.
So if you're like are disagreeing with whatever I said or whatever, hey, look, you know, give them my IG, whatever. Contact me, reach out to me. Like, I want to hear from you. I want to hear what you got to say. But be very, very careful about what you tell me.
You heard the man be extremely respectful. You can talk to him, but do not be disrespectful. It's my guy right here. Do not be disrespectful. We will block you as a page. We're not kidding about that.
Come correct or don't come at all.
Exactly.
I will call this shit out.
Nah, real shit. Yeah. All right, Hector, you got anything from him?
Yeah, I was gonna say, bro, you took us on a power trip. I thank you so much for even like coming on the show, because we've had so many guests on, and we're, you know, we promote entrepreneurs and musical artists, but in a time period that we're living in now, and we've seen how 2020's kicked off, and now we have this going on. It's important that we emphasize on education, and coming from an African American who can, you know, who lives amongst the struggle and what we're going through. You feel me? Honestly, it's a blessing to have you on, bro.
Appreciate you, bro. Appreciate that. It's a
For real.
I'm a like I said, I'm a person of solidarity. I'm a person of like social justice, man. Like, I do want to see us move forward. I am very angry, still very hurt, very. But I realize that, you know what I'm saying, being completely, you know, it's okay to be angry and hurt, but I need to channel that hurt and anger into change. And
within education, right?
Not be complacent within our current system and how we do things. So that's really where I'm at right now, to be honest, man. Like, let's just keep fighting. Let's keep revolutionizing. Let's keep calling shit out for the way it is. And you know what I'm saying? I hope that we can get to a place of justice one day, even though I don't see that ever happening. I hope. Right. You know, I do really hope that, you know, there could be a time where we don't have to continue to keep fighting for our rights and our right to, especially to live.
Yeah, absolutely.
We don't got to do that in the near future. And if that means rioting, looting, revolution, war, whatever, fuck it.
Yep.
That's how things were established in this country. That's, you know what I'm saying? That's what America was founded upon. Let's not be hypocritical here and start talking about no fucking peaceful protests. Like,
exactly. Well, you know what? We do have a lot of work to do as a country, as a community, as people, but having people such as yourself who are, you know, giving back to the community and educating and spreading so much love and knowledge, we're already on the way there. So we definitely think, well, listen, again, Clinton, thank you for being on the show. We definitely appreciate you, you know, spreading so much knowledge and everything. We're going to drop your teaching page. We're going to drop your personal pages if, like, whatever, like, you want to. Also, like, people do want to get in contact with you, we will mention, like, in the link in our bio, like, you know, contact information for all that. Listen, listen, thank you so much for joining us, man. We really appreciate it.
I appreciate you, bro. I appreciate you all for having me on.
No, thank you, bro. It was nice meeting you too, bro. I'm going to add you on my personal page too, all right?
You, bro. Of course, definitely.
All right, awesome. All right, so for Mateo Mantia, Hector 61, and Clinton Ikioda, this is the RIA podcast. We'll catch you guys next time.